a quick overview and background, what is capacitive touch?
Capacitive touch is the ability to interact with the surface without having to press mechanical buttons.
Right.
I think the most common example where we use this on a daily basis would be our smartphones.
Yeah, absolutely. So capacitive touch is something that I see everywhere. Why do people want to design with capacitive touch?
The single word answer would be money. Okay. The perception today from a user is, if I have a device which is sleek and a closed surface, touch interfaces, sliders, buttons, or touch screens, it's perceived to be more valuable,
right?
Having more content. We have a nice example here where we have, if you read the manuals, these two products, they are thermostats. They are virtually identical. Mm-hmm. Cloud connected, Alexa, turn on my AC, all of that thing works with both of them.
Right.
The right one screams to you, if you are in a store, I'm this modern type of product.
Right.
The left one, they did everything they can to hide all the good features. And the main difference between the two from a perception, from your user, from your customer perspective, is there's a touch interface and then we have mechanical buttons.
And I know for at least myself, when I look at the thermostat on the right, it's something that screams to me, it's an easier experience, right? The UI seems more intuitive for me, and that's the use of like customizable buttons or just ease of use in general with touch.
Exactly. And this is kind of the good experience we have all days on our smartphones. People expect this in other devices as well.
So we've seen thermostats and we've mentioned smartphones. What other devices do we have touch in that we don't expect touch to be in? Because it's everywhere.
It is. One good example would be you go to your car, and in many new modern cars, you just grab into the door handle and the car by some magic unlocks itself. So that magic is a key exchange between the car and your car key.
Right.
It's also Microchip powered, but that, by the way. And that key exchange is pretty power intense, so it needs to have a trigger.
Right.
Your car is right now parked outside. Your car is not looking for your key right now. In order to start your car looking for the key, it is your fingertips grabbing into the door handle, and there's a proximity capacitive sensor inside, detecting your fingertips going into the door handle, and then you have like 20 milliseconds to start the key exchange, find the key, unlock the door, and by magic, open your car.
So all this magic really starts with capacitive touch.
Exactly.
Cool. So where does somebody get started if they want to design touch within their applications?
Yes. So when you go into a new area of an application, I think there are three main pillars you want to cover.
Okay.
When you do touch on an MCU, it's clear to you I will have to have code, some touch code. So where is that touch code coming from?
Right.
Then after you have your MCU and your touch code, please give me some quick and dirty hardware where I can just implement touch and just see how it works.
Yeah.
Later on, I will have to design my product. But to get started, I want to start quickly. And then we will talk here for 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Quick.
Quick. So touch, then there's a little bit more to it. So where do I get, best case online, where do I get guidance, videos, step-by-step guides in order to learn on my own pace?
Right, to learn the next steps.
Exactly.
So which one of these do you want to break down first of those three pillars that you were talking about?
I would like to start with the code configurators. Because it is important to understand, if you do touch with Microchip, there is no need to code the touch at all.
Okay.
We already did that for you. So usually when you want to realize a function inside an MCU, you will crawl through 1,000 pages of a data sheet, find the right registers and peripherals on that part to do what you intend.
Right.
So you have to do some research, some testing. You need some expertise in order to get all of that.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of iteration with that,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
And then you are eventually happy with the functionality. Okay, then you have your touch interface programmed, and then you programmed your actual application. This is where you, first of all, came to that MCU to do your application.
Right.
But in order to do your application, you have to do your touch first. With Microchip, we go completely rid of this whole implementing of touch. We have code configurators, and here's the philosophy. You go to the code configurator, we have some examples later, and you tell the code configurator, which is a visual GUI in your PC,
right.
I have these 3 pins. I want to connect a 3-segment slider to that pin, and that slider shall be called volume. And you don't code touch, water tolerance, noise tolerance. You just tell the code configurator what you want to do on which pins. And then the code configurator does the magic for you, configures your code, and then you can focus on what you actually wanted to do is writing your application.
And so this GUI is genuinely like a drop-down menu or checkboxes or text fields so that you can name these devices, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's kind of amazing how easy it is to just get up and running with this, the code configurators.
This is what our group is all about, to make we want you to use touch, but we don't want you to spend time on creating a robust touch.
Right.
So, and then the whole code configuration process, so we have several of these code configurators, depending if you have an 8-bit or a more complex 32-bit MCU. The good news is that the configuration takes you, if you do this first time, let's say half an hour. If you do the second time in 10 minutes, you have configured.
Quick. That's incredibly quick.
Pretty quick. Then Microchip offers several families of MCUs. The important news is, after you configured your code, you will spend the rest of your product development with testing. The overlay will change from one plastic material to the other. You might have to retune buttons.
Sure.
Some marketing guy tells you the button needs to be bigger or smaller, all of these real-life things.
Right.
And the tuning of your touch project, regardless on which MCU you are actually working, will be done with the same set of tools.
Okay.
It's MPLAB data visualizer. Meaning, let's say your first project you do on a 8-bit PIC, your next project is on a 32-bit, it would be the same tuning experience for both of them.
Cool. So just to reiterate, regardless of the IDE that somebody's using, there is code configurator, there is a GUI for people to use regardless, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. And it's kind of an amazing thing. You threw up there the data visualization tool. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that?
So code configuration is your first step. So then you have, let's say, you have a touch button, and then you have to tune that button for your use case. Maybe you want to support gloves, or you want to check if you spray water on the button, that should not false trigger. This is all that things we support. But you need, for instance, a threshold to define what type of press do you want that your button is activated.
Right.
And so there are some standards what you want to visualize. So I want to see the raw data out of my touch button. I want to see the threshold. I want to see that when I touch, my raw data goes above the threshold, that noise to the signal will not get me into any type of trouble.
Cool.
So that type of visualization, when you generate your touch project, there is one click you can do. I want to debug or want to tune my touch later on. And then we just stream out via UART all the data needed. And we give you the data visualizer, which visualizes you all the necessary data in a nice predefined way, that you can do all of that also out of the box.
Nice.
You don't have to spend time on it.
I love it. So the first part of the column we just discussed was the code configuration.
Yeah.
The next part, I think, would be the actual hardware that people can use.
Yes. So actually, configuring the code is fun, but now the actual fun starts. I want to see that live.
Right.
I want to go to my boss and show him that slider beats the old implementation we have in the old version of the product.
Makes sense.
So in Touch dev kits, we have this like in two families. We have complete dev kits which involve everything on one PCB. The chip, there's a debugger. You don't need much more than a USB connection, and then you have, for instance, on the left side, you need a small touchpad. This is a solution which is widely used in headphones.
Right.
Up, down, changes volume. This is gesture detection built in. So we have dev kits which are one piece, and then everything is included. And then on the right side is more like a mix and match experience where you might want to use an 8-bit controller, or you might want to use a 32-bit controller. You might need a touchpad or a slider or a bunch of buttons.
Right.
So you can basically select, every MCU has a starter evaluation kit, Explain Pro board or Curiosity Nano board. Then we have these touch extension boards with different features. And you can just, this is my MCU, and I want to do a small touchpad. You click them together, and the code configurator.
And you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So that was the second column. The last part of this equation is, where can people go after this coffee break? Where can people go to get guidance?
Exactly. So it's all online, and we whole Microchip, we summarize everything available in terms of documentation, application support at microchipdeveloper.com.
Right.
There is a section for touch, and there you find video tutorials, step-by-step guides. We have most of our documentation is like double. Some people prefer to have a YouTube video where they can stop and play pause at their own speed. Others like to read through a PDF with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step-by-step guide. We have both of that.
Makes sense.
And then on the microchip.com page, again very simple, /touch. There you come to our design center, and there a lot of documentation. The main documentation is the touch design guide.
Nice, and they can find that on microchip.com/touch.
Right there.
I'd just like to say a quick thank you to everybody behind the camera, Andreas for presenting to all of you guys, and to the viewers to listening. And we couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you very much. See you.
Bye-bye, thank you.